Hi, I'm Lenora.
I'm Kristen. Hello.
I'm Isabel. Hola.
Hi, I'm Isabel. I am the founder of The Uprising Spark, and I am the host of the Honest Supper podcast. I am a coach for child-free women like myself who have decided not to have children voluntarily and who maybe face some feelings like guilt or anger or shame around our choice. I help them work through those feelings so they can live a happy and fulfilling child-free life.
Hi, my name is Lenora Faye. I'm a child-free lifestyle advocate, speaker, and moderator. I'm a co-founder of the 2022 Virtual Child-Free Convention, which is happening in July. And I'm also the host of Child Free Morning Chat, which happens every Monday through Friday on the Clubhouse audio social app.
Hi, I am Kristen Tetzi. I am the author of the novel The Age of the Child, in which an overturn of Roe versus Wade has unanticipated consequences that take a surprising twist from one generation to the next. Otherwise, I guess I'm just a writer in general. Most recently, I've been doing short stories with a child-free slant, and you can find my latest one on Medium. It is called The Wordle 254 Divorce. We are the three founding non-mothers of Childfree Girls, and today we're talking about a variety of things. The first of which is about to be revealed.
After these messages.
Word from our sponsors.
The first of which is when people say to you, when you tell someone you don't want kids and you're not having kids, and they say something like, oh, but you would be such a great mother. What is your feeling about that, Isabel?
I get annoyed whenever I'm told that I would be such a great mom, because what is it? I mean, what I think they trying to say is you're a good human being, right? And I think that all human beings should be good human beings, just irrespectively of the fact that they want to be parents or not. It doesn't piss me off, but it's really annoying to think that people are just like, oh, all moms are good people, right? All mothers are good. And because you're a good person, then you should be a mom too, because you fit in great in that group. You know what I mean? Like, it's so the implication of the opposite is what drives me crazy. It's like, if you're not a mom, then are you not a good person? Are you not allowed to be a person who cares about other people, a person who is empathetic about other causes and other things if you're not a mom? That's a great question for these people.
Well, my first thought is like, obviously you don't live with me, because you would know I get annoyed when I have creatures of any kind in my space after about a week. So it's a baseless comment. And I mean, I agree with what Isabel says. And, some people will be like, well, take it as a compliment. Like, well, why? Like, it is annoying because it's said by people that don't know me. And, let's say if I had chosen to have children, then I would have been a dedicated mother. Absolutely. But I don't want that life. And like, what indication gives you that I would be a good mom? Like, when we're talking about like actual mothering duties, and it just doesn't fit my life. And when people say that, I'm like, you obviously don't know me. You don't know anything about me, because my brother, who knows me the best out of anyone in the world, tells me like motherhood would not be for you, because he knows I'm driven. He knows how I am, what I need, and just my way of being in general. And it doesn't mean I'm a bad person. It's just motherhood would not be a good fit. I want things done a certain way. I like my life. I'm very focused on me being able to live how I want to live. And I don't apologize for that. If someone says to me, oh, you'd make a great mom, I'm like, actually, no, I wouldn't, because I put my needs first. So, because that's what I want to do. That's what I'm called to do. It allows me to do what I do because my needs are put first. So it's just, to me, a stupid comment from people that have no idea, like, how I am, who I am. So it's annoying.
I take it as, I don't know. Like, at first I thought just as a gut reaction, oh, well, they're just trying to say something nice, so I'll take it as a compliment. But I think imagining it having been said to me, I think it always makes me feel a little bit uneasy. And I don't really know why. Maybe because it still comes across as some sort of pressure, like you should have children. And that just bothers me. But it also, like, I'm not able to receive it even as small talk. If someone says, "How are you today?" I actually think, like, I think about an answer. I'm not just like, "Oh, fine," because I don't operate that way. So if someone says something like, "Oh, but you'd be such a great mom," I'll think, okay, so they probably mean if I wanted to be a mother, then I'd be a good mom. I have to take away the fact that I don't, because someone who doesn't want to be a mother will probably be a less good mother than someone who wants to. So let's assume I want to be a mother. If I did want to be a mother, I'd probably still be the controlling one in the relationship, like between myself and my partner, assuming it was a partnered parenthood. I'd be the one who's like, no, no, no. And he'd be the one who's really cool because he's funny and has cool things to say. And I'd be the one who gets really pissed off when they don't do what I tell them to do, just because I get pissed off about stuff like that. And he'd be like, "Oh, just let it go." So I go through all these things and think, well, I'd probably be a good mother, and that I would feed them and make sure they're raised right and they'd be good people, but they'd probably also hate me. So I don't really know. Blah, 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 blah. So it's all just, it's just best that someone not say that to me, because it's apparently overall not a pleasant thing that happens as a result.
So Kristen, how are you?
Shut up.
I want to know.
I'm fine. I'm just fine. Aren't we all?
Thank you for laughing, Isabel, by the way, to back me up on that.
That's funny. I love how Kristen just kind of like paints this picture of what her family life would be like if she was a mom. Like, I would be get annoyed by this and I would get annoyed by that. And I was like, and I just, listening to you just makes me anxious. Listening to you talk about your life, about being a mom, I'm like, oh my God. Like, what is happening? I don't want to go through that ever. Yeah, I think most people, when they say, "Oh, you would be such a great mom," I think they mean it as a compliment. They do. I don't think anyone would say it like in a mean way. Of course not. Like, who's gonna wish anyone to be a bad parent? I mean, unless you're heartless, but it's a whole different topic. But this is the thing, and you both said it in different ways. If you don't want to be a mom, doesn't matter how good you are, how caring, how precious, or whatever, like, you don't want to do it. How would you reconcile sort of being that good person, but having to do something that you really, really don't want to do, that you're like dreading so much, especially when it pertains to something that completely and totally impacts another person directly? Like, that's what people don't think about, right? I mean, sometimes I get those comments sometimes from people who don't know I'm child free, who are like, "Oh, you're almost 40. You should be your mom. You're going to be such a great mom." They don't necessarily know that I'm child free. And so I usually take that opportunity to tell them, it's not what I want in my life. I think I can be a great aunt if my sister decides to have children one day. I know I can be a great, like, not aunt. I don't want to call myself an aunt of my friends' children. I think that's weird. But I can be a great sort of like the fun mom's friend for my friends' kids. That's okay. I can do that. But I definitely don't see myself raising a child. So,
don't you find it condescending when people say, "Oh, you'd make such a good mom"? Because it's kind of like, it's flippant, but they really don't want to get into it. I mean, they really wouldn't say that if they knew how Kristen would respond. So there's that. But do you ever feel it's a condescending compliment, backhanded compliment? Just maybe that's our child-free perspective. That's my child-free perspective asking the question. I
don't think so. I mean, unless the person knows that I'm child free, I'm like militant about it. Like,
aggressively child free.
Aggressively, no, I'm child free, but not that child free. I'm not aggressively child free, but I do advocate for the lifestyle, and we talk about it very publicly as Childfree Girls and in our own personal endeavors, projects. So if they do know about that, and then they kind of, "Oh, you would be such a great mom," then I would take it as, I wouldn't I mean, yeah, it's like passive aggressive in a way.
Mm.
Yeah, it feels a little bit like that. What do you think, Kristen?
I'm imagining being a parent or someone who wants kids and saying that to somebody. Like I have this, well, I've kind of said the same thing about Ian. He would be such a great dad. And that's, it's meant purely in the most heartfelt, beautifully projected, good, positive energy that it could possibly be, because he just would. So I think when people say that about people they know, that's probably one thing. But I agree that I think both of you have said that it's people who you don't really know that well who will say it. Like maybe it's an acquaintance or something. Oh, but you'd be such a good mom. And it's to say that to someone you don't know is a little bit weird. Like, you seem nice, therefore I think you'd be a good mom. But if you don't know, I mean, that's a small, vulnerable child who would be in possession of this person that you're talking about. I wouldn't even say to someone I hardly know, oh, but you'd be such a great pet parent, because I don't want to even put the idea in their head if I don't know with almost 100% certainty that they should have a pet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You don't want to even, you don't want to tempt them into that if they might do damage.
It's kind of like giving an endorsement. Like someone comes to you, someone as an acquaintance comes to you and asks for like an endorsement for work, or, hey, can you co-sign my mortgage? You know, like, because people ask, it happens. People ask like people that they hardly know if they will co-sign something. I've heard stories. It's strange. And sometimes people say, yes, please don't do that. But I'm getting off topic. But very much to your point, Kristen, like, yeah, you don't know. It seems like a really weird thing to just someone randomly in passing, like, or even home ownership. Oh, you'd make a great homeowner. Having no clue. Maybe they're terrible with finances. Maybe they like trash like their current place. Maybe they're not clean people. Like, it's just, but because it's children involved, like everything else, all rational thoughts and critical thinking goes out the window when people throw that sentiment around of you would make a great parent, you know, mother, father, whatever.
Yeah.
It's like there's no common sense behind that statement. A lot of times, I find.
You know, I don't mind when people say things like, "Oh, you would be such a great
chef."
Pancake
flipper. I don't know.
Yeah, you would be a great chef, Lenora. Like, you know, you're the one who cooks. Like, I don't cook. I was like, not chef. But when they say something about your skills, something that they observe about what you master, or maybe not necessarily master, but just something that you're really passionate about. Like, I like it when people point out things like that, because they're more about the self. They're more about building yourself and sort of like becoming something or someone, or learning about something that you really love, right? And I love it. I love it when people like see that. But children are a whole different story, man.
And you make a really good point, Isabel, because if no one's ever when do people see anyone in a maternal role, especially if you're not going to say, oh, you'd make a great parent to someone who has a kid, because you can see they're already a parent. So now when I think about it, I'm like, that it just doesn't make any sense, because the last time someone said that to me, it's actually someone who's a third cousin. And I'm thinking, when have I ever in any kind of family setting said that I want to have kids? Maybe they've seen me with my nephews. Okay. Yeah, I'm a fantastic aunt. Absolutely. I am an aunt to my friends' kids. I don't mind them calling me auntie, but I have no problem with that. But if you've never heard me say anything about it, about wanting children, or, you know, like there's no indication. You can be nice to children without wanting them. That seems to surprise people. It's like, how many teachers and pediatric pediatricians, sorry. I'll edit that part out. Anyway, how many people work with children on a professional level who don't have them? Many, and they're excellent at what they do. Doesn't mean they want to have kids.
Could you imagine if you said to a woman who you don't know very well, oh, you look like you're probably a good parent? How
That's so weird. So
Sounds
weird.
so strange.
That's
Mm.
fine.
We should be telling
then-
people, oh, you'd make such a good child-free person.
Yeah.
Wouldn't
That'd
that be
That would
fun?
not-
That'd be fun.
I think they'd
Let's
be
do
really
that.
offended.
Especially if they're already parents.
Yes.
To be like,
Oh.
fuck, I wish I knew this before.
That actually would be more fun, Isabel. Saying that to people. Oh yeah, I have 3 kids. Oh, that's too bad. You'd make such a great child-free person.
Yeah.
When the 3 of us
No,
get
no, it's
together,
not. No
let's do
offense.
that. Let's do that. Let's go walk through the streets and say, you look like you'd be a good child-free person.
That's so fun.
You're like, no, Lenora, you're not invited on that trip.
This kind of leads into something like when people say you'd make such a good parent, we take it any number of ways, usually personally, because it is being said to you personally. But I think one of the problems that you see a lot in the child-free community is people taking things too personally, like assigning everything to themselves. Like the people who will say, why do you guys talk about not having kids? I didn't have kids and everything is fine and nobody gave me any problems and no one ever said anything to me. So why are you even talking about it at all? There's kind of this, it feels to me as if there is something happening in the world right now. And I don't know if it's because of social media, but everybody is a lot of people are very inward focused. Anything that's ever said anywhere is about me. And there's such a tendency to not look beyond. So there's very little, I see this being said, it doesn't apply to me, but if it's being said, wow, it must apply to somebody somewhere. So have you found yourselves ever taking something like that personally, or have you seen conversations just go way downhill because people they're talk, no, listen. As child-free people who are trying to get more child-free people even on board with just this conversation, and we saw some of that today in our comments on or not today, but we posted a letter recently, a Dear Childfree Girls letter in our feed. And someone asked us, I think sincerely, how do we make people who seem committed to misunderstanding us understand us? A lot of the comments to that letter said, screw them. They don't need to understand. Who cares if they understand? But
Oh, you cut out. We lost you somewhere.
no, I didn't cut out. I just don't know what to say next.
Oh.
Like, I'm just at a loss for words.
I
Over
thought I
that
saw you
kind of-
talking. Okay.
It's like people want to be understood until they have to give a little, because it's all so in here. Everyone's just walking
Mhm.
around like this. Me, hear me. I have problems. I have things,
And that's really the example, not what you just did, but the example on our social media feed to answer your question, because most of those people who commented, well, forget them. They don't want to understand. They don't want to give the extra inch to at least facilitate the conversation. That's them. They don't want it. Therefore, we shouldn't bother. Because it's very similar when, I repost negative comments from my Instagram and turn it into marketing. So it showcases the comment and then my response, because half the time I try and make it humorous and then it's also just promoting everything that I do. And then sometimes people will go, why are you giving that person, attention? Why? Like, why? It's because they personally don't want it. They don't want to see those kind of troll comments. They don't want to have any kind of understanding why someone would post that. They're like, it's none of their business. Who cares? They're not considering that, oh, well, maybe Lenora wants to market her work and this is the way she does it. Because I state very clearly why I do this, like why I use those comments and repurpose them as social media posts. But you're right. People don't want to look beyond their thought as to, well, okay, this is what Lenora does. So why wouldn't she comment back, or why wouldn't she repurpose? Like, people don't think, you're right. People don't think beyond their bubble. So, how do we change that? I don't know. I don't think that was the question though, because I will try. I'm not giving up that easy.
You will try what?
making people understand everything about everything when it comes to doing social media in the child-free space, or understand, like, when people say, why are you giving this person attention if it's a negative comment, I want to explain to them why I do give them attention, but a lot of times they don't care. So I will spend the time to inform them if they're interested. But if they don't want to hear it, then they don't want to hear it. But I would,
thing.
you know, yeah.
That's the thing. People, there is a saying in Spanish. I don't know if this is going to translate well. Maybe there's a similar saying in English. So the saying goes something along the lines of there's no one more deaf than the person who doesn't want to listen.
I would agree.
And yeah, I mean, it's true. People, like, you know, like Kristen says, people who going around, you know, just worrying about their own things and putting out the energy that they feel about their own lives, and they have very strong feelings about many things, including parenthood. Right now, there's, well, what I can do, like, relate sort of like in parallel, it's not exactly the same thing, but we are in election season in my country. And it's the same thing when you talk about politics. There's like such strong feelings around things like that, about politics and laws and elections and children, and I feel that when something just sort of makes you feel something like so strongly that is very aligned with your values, but however, whatever your values are, it's very hard for you to actually even listen to somebody who thinks different than you do. Because the thing is, they're actually not like trying to convince you of anything that you don't believe in. Maybe they're just sort of trying to explain, maybe. But the thing is, their arguments are not only against your own arguments, they're actually going against your own values as well. And when you start messing with people's values and principles, shit goes down. Like, it's really bad.
I mean, this is okay. So along that line, then, is this why the child-free conversation gets hit with so many walls? Because technically it goes against so many people's values. We're not choosing parenthood. And whether people assume that, oh, we're pro-abortion, we're always having abortions, we hate babies, we hate everything, or they're just like, what do you do in life? Because we value parenthood, we value sacrificing everything for the sake of the next generation. You are not doing any of that. So you know, is even mainstream media hardly giving any attention to anyone that doesn't want to have kids? You know, is that because it looks like, or appears to go against values? I'm just going to say appears. I'm not saying it is.
I think so. Yeah, absolutely. I honestly believe that the reason that you know, talking about the child-free lifestyle, or like just even portraying it and having representation in media specifically, is I believe personally there's two reasons. One of them is, yes, it definitely goes against the values of the majority, so people would not watch it. And you know that media wants ratings, so you know they're not gonna invest, I don't know how much, enough money for people not to watch it. That's one thing. There's like the financial motive or motivation. And then on the other hand, like media and government are very tight-knit. We know this already. They don't want things to change in terms of values. They don't want them. And if you actually look at most media, they're actually very conservative. Most media outlets. They don't want values to change because things are fine the way they are. Things work for them the way they are. So I do believe that there is a part. I mean, part of the problem, or part of the difficulty in getting our conversation out there is exactly that. You know, we're just poking at people's values, like, hey, look at me. I don't think like you. I don't feel the same way you do about this, and it's okay. I'm also a human being, and you should respect me. And they're like, I can't. It's too much. You know.
I have to chuckle a little bit when you talk about government and values in the same sentence.
I know,
Anyway.
but you know what I mean.
By the way, if you're having a new election, you can take our leader.
What leader? Oh yeah, I mean,
well,
I will take him. I will
Nice
would
take
agree
burn.
with that. She's like, exactly, what leader?
Exactly.
Exactly. Well, that's a good. Well, yeah, but I would take, for those of you who haven't heard or know, Justin Trudeau is like my. He's not really like my whole past, but he is someone that I'm just like I would like. I would marry that man. I love him.
How is that not your hall pass? Jeez.
He's so hot. Anyway, I know I'm not Canadian. I don't know anything about Canadian politics. I just think he's cute. That's all.
The only thing I want to add to the understanding conversation is that all of what was said kind of assumes that the people are being correctly perceived as not wanting to understand. There are, of course, people who are like the transformed wife or her husband, whoever does that account, who refuse. They don't want to understand because there is nothing to understand. It's black and white. You have kids, period. So there's no.
It's mostly white on the transformed wife. It's mostly white.
There's no breaching that barrier. But then I think there is also an approach from the child-free person. There might be a parent who's like genuinely curious about why you don't want kids and perfectly open to understanding. But if you start talking to them about fuck trophies and burdens and, depending on how you approach parenthood and their role as parents, they might not be so receptive to understanding you, and they will think that you are, they just won't try. So, there is an opening up that has to be done. And I do understand that if you have felt a lot of pressure to have kids and you're feeling just really pissed off about it, that's going to come out too. And I honestly think that part is a phase. I think that everyone has their period of feeling that pressure, and then they suddenly either succumb, which I really hope no one does anymore, ever, or they realize, hey, I'm in control of this. Pressure doesn't bother me anymore. I'm fine. I'm happy. And then the conversations are easier because you're not feeling so prickly all the time. And I'm saying this from experience.
I'll second that from experience.
Okay. The next thing is not directly related, although I'm sure somewhere back there it is, and I just can't grab it. I can't find it. But people will say, maybe it's about like expectations and roles or, what we're supposed to do. But people who think women should have kids will also say things like, well, why would you get married if you don't plan to have kids? And Lenora, I don't think plans to ever get married. So I'm just going to start with Isabel, who really wants to get married someday.
Maybe.
I'm going to see Lenora in a few years and she's going to have a ring in her finger and be like, I wasn't going to do this. No. I'm kidding.
And she'll have a couple rings.
Yeah, I'm kidding.
And they'll be huge. It's possible. It is possible. That is a never say never situation. The marriage thing, kids, forget that's done. But the marriage potentially. But yeah, ask me in a couple of years.
I guess my first question is, what is wrong with someone? Like, what must they think of romance and love if they would say, why would you even get married if you're not having kids?
That's a great question.
Well, tell me.
Yeah. I actually I have something that I wanted to share, and this is like the perfect
oh my
God. No, I'm not getting I'm not getting married. My hands are no rings. No.
Well, geez, wait. We were looking for an exclusive here, but okay.
No.
If that happens, announce it here and don't tell us beforehand. That'd be fun.
Okay. No, I was binge. So listeners will be like, what? No. I was binge watching Bad Vegan yesterday. Have you seen it already on Netflix? Okay. I highly recommend it. It just came out. It's a docu-series. I loved it for many reasons. And one of the things is she's child-free. And you don't realize that she's child-free until the last episode, I think. And the reason I knew that she was child-free is because her father is being interviewed, and he says she never wanted children. So when she got married, that was a financial transaction. Like, it was a business.
Why she got married was she got her marriage
She
is
got married for financial interest, basically,
Oh, okay.
for like it was like a business, sort of like a financial
Okay.
transaction for her. She didn't
Okay.
marry for she didn't she didn't necessarily marry for love.
Okay.
And because he sort of says, you know, she didn't want children, and her marriage was like a financial transaction,
Okay.
which made me think about this specific topic because we see this all the time. Like I've gotten a lot of comments, and I actually tag Kristen every time I get a comment in my feed going like, you don't want kids and don't get married. I'm like, at Kristen says you get this. Because she has such a great marriage. Like whenever I hear Kristen talk about her and Ian and how, you know, your relationship has developed during the years and whatnot, I'm like, those are relationship goals for me. Like I really want that one day, and I actually do want to get married. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. I'm not going to die. It's not the end of the world, but I do want to get married. I think the reason I want to get married is because I just want to I want to find that person who's like my best friend, and I want to it would be like sort of like having your best friend as a roommate, basically, and like sharing everything with that person. I think that's so cool because you not only get to share everything that we feel that makes our life absolutely fulfilling and things that we're passionate about, like in my case, you know, there's several, but specifically traveling and things like that. You get to do it with someone that you love, someone that understands you, someone that you want to one day throw out the window because they're annoying the fuck out of you, and the next day you just want to like fucking tell them you love them forever. And I think that there's so much about that that is appealing to me, and kids have absolutely nothing to do with this. Nothing at all. And did I say I'm child free? So yeah, so I mean when people say that, it's like, what do you mean? Like I understand that people got married before because if they had kids outside marriage, it was really bad. Like they would get ostracized by their communities, and if they were like very religious communities, it was even worse. I know stories of people in my family, specifically of women who got married, who got pregnant outside of marriage, and they were sent away to like a convent or somewhere to have the baby. They didn't like family didn't tell anyone that they got pregnant. They just like found out she's pregnant, sent them away, and then when the child came back, they presented the child not as their son or daughter, but as their baby brother or baby sister, because it was really bad, the fact that they were having a kid outside of marriage. So I understand the logic of that 50 years ago, maybe even, yeah, I think, no, 50 years ago, I don't think people did that 50 years ago, like 150 years ago. Like I get it. But today, honestly, I don't understand who says that. I don't get it.
So listening to you describe why you want to get married makes me want to hyperventilate. You know, the reaction, the anxiousness that you felt when Kristen was talking about why early, my like from my knees up, just like I just feel like my chest was constricting, and I'm like, Kaelenor, keep it together. Listen to Isabel. She's talking, and my throat just wants to close. I'm like, yeah, I'm not ready for marriage. I mean, and not because it sounds awful, because
Which part?
all of it, everything she described, the best friend living, once she said living together, that's when my body just went into like seizure mode. Well, not seizure mode, pardon me, but just everything was like clenching. Like it's just, because here's the thing. Anytime Kristen does talk about her relationship with Ian, I am super inspired. I really am. I love it. It's like, that is so beautiful. I am inspired by it. And it's hard for me to say I want that because again, like I love the idea, and that's how I feel like relationships should be. Not because I'm in I don't see, you know, I'm hearing what you tell us. And it does inspire me. But and listening to Isabel describe what she wants in a relationship, I'm like, it's the living together, the travel, like everything together. I'm thinking, no, please, like, no. Can we meet for dinner and totally worship and adore each other, but keep our separate spaces? Because, and again, this is where I'm at in my life, but I realize I've always been like that. I've always had that feeling. It may change in the future, but I really don't like the sound of that. I actually don't want it to change to that. Unless we have a massive house where I don't have to see you all the time, fine. But even that, even that. So it was just interesting how my body reacts listening to why people want to do things. Because I was like, oh,
you don't have to live together. I
I
mean,
know. I know. You don't.
You could have a townhouse and live side by side with like an adjoining door that you can lock. I mean,
yeah, I know.
people,
but it's funny how people still think that's weird or wrong in a marriage.
Who cares?
Oh, I know. I'm not. And also too, I don't want to even sign paperwork. Like, it's just let's just have completely separate lives. And well, this is why I do companionship. But even now, I'm like stopped everything because I need to be secluded for the time being, just because I'm in that space right now. And I like having the freedom of not having to be emotionally attached to anyone. I really enjoy that, as far as like in a romantic setting, you know what I mean? Like, or in an intimate setting, because it annoys me after a time, as some of you may have found out. So it's like, you know, I just, when I hear about, again, just when I hear what people want, and if it doesn't feel right for me, I just see how my body reacts to it. So
it's just so funny how after I said Lenora doesn't want to get married, you were like, well, I don't know, maybe someday, maybe someday.
Because
and then you're like,
I know,
no, everything's bad. I'm sweating. I can't take it.
I know, because I don't, like, there is a part of me and this part may be society pressure. I haven't figured that part out, but I won't say I won't ever get married. I don't really want to be married. Like, the idea for myself, it doesn't feel right, but I recognize it doesn't feel right for me right now, so I'm open-minded also, because I don't like weddings, but there's bling involved, but the paperwork part, I'm like, I don't know, like, but it's not something I can actually pursue right now because of how I react, and I don't actually want that. So, but there's a piece of me that still remains open-minded. Again, I don't know if that's society pressure talking though, because there is a part of me that sometimes I go, why don't I want to pursue that? What's wrong with me? There is a part of me that still feels that way. But like, I feel like something is wrong where I don't want to pursue that type, because I am 39. That doesn't bother me at all. It's just like, should I be pursuing something or not like, should I be allowing that? I don't know. There's a part of me that does feel bad for not wanting to. And so I question what is making me feel bad? Like, is that society pressure? Because I don't actually want that, but I feel bad for not wanting that,
Maybe.
And you would be interested in the article, How a New Wave of Literature is Reframing Spinsterhood, published by the New Statesman, and written by Emma John, who is the Childfree. She's on Twitter, and she has a whole bunch of, like, she's always highlighting child-free and usually single women. But she covers books called Self-Contained, She I Dare Not Name, Unattached, Essays on Singlehood, and The Lonely Hunter. Oh, and also In Defense of Witches. So if you're interested in literature, because I think if you do feel like, is it me? Is it like it? Can I trust my own desire for this? Or is it like, am I a romantic who thinks this might happen for me? That might be something I want someday, or am I thinking it's what I'm supposed to want because I watch things like Sex and the City and
Hallmark movies? Yeah, Hallmark movies. Yeah, and also too, I realize I can be overthinking it, because I do go after what I want. I do enjoy romances, seasonal romances. I like companionship. I'm not like anti have someone in my space for 2 weeks. 3 weeks is pushing it, but it's just, there is that fear of giving up my autonomy completely for not a really good reason yet in my mind. It's not a good enough reason for me to want to give up what I have.
So here's the only thing I really need to say about marriage. And I think I've said this before, but the word marriage scares a lot of people. They pile a lot of crap onto it that doesn't need to be there. You don't have to give up any of your autonomy if you don't want to. And when people say things like, why would you get married if you don't want to have kids? It's because they see marriage only one way. It is for a mother, a father, and a child. And then you have other people who see marriage only one way, which is must be between man and woman, or must be only between two people, or, and these are all in their own little what marriage is categories, or it's a patriarchal way to fuck the woman into submission, or, it's like everyone has decided that marriage is this and that is it.
Mhm.
And it's not. It is only the people who are in it. That's all it is. They can live across the world from each other and be, in up close and personal. Michelle Pfeiffer marries Robert Redford wisely, even though they're hardly
because
ever
it's Robert Redford.
yes,
Okay.
even though they're hardly ever together. And if you decide that you get married not as any kind of legal thing, but as just a celebration, like it's like a culmination, I mean, that's why Ian and I got married. It was because we just wanted to, we saw it as entering into our own private room. It was just like a ceremonial, symbolic, what have you. It wasn't for any other reason. We would have stayed together forever, married or not. There was just something in us that wanted to do it for us. And because he was in the military, it also helped that it was legal because, what if he died or something?
Mhm. I have nothing else.
So people,
Lenore, speechless.
I just think people need to relax about it. And also you can get divorced. Like people are really scared about marriage. Like, oh no, what if I'm marrying the wrong person? Hey, newsflash, it's 2020. You can get divorced. You don't have to stay unhappy for the rest of your life.
I
Just
know,
because
but
people say dumb shit like you're married. Love is a behavior. You have to learn to love again. You have to work at it. You have to be together till you die, no matter how many times he pounds your face. I mean, come on.
yeah.
It's fucking insane. Stay
my
together
God.
till you don't want to be together anymore, and then break up.
Another thing I don't want, another reason is like I don't want to have to change. Like I like checking single on my tax return. And when you separate, you check separated, or when you divorced, you check divorce. It's like you can never seem to go back to single again. And I kind of want to remain, keep that status.
I want to check
on
them
my
all,
taxes.
except for widowed. Like I have been so tempted to be like married, divorced.
Some years, I'm sure there are some people that check widowed just because they're fed up. They just want to. Well, then you get in massive trouble. And I guess to end like. You didn't ask the question, but there is a part of me go like, what if that's the one area in life, or that is a big area in life where what if I meet someone I do want to live with? Again, the whole kid thing is out of the question, but the possibility, because I did when I was younger, I liked the idea of marriage later in life. Because now I realize why I liked it is because it didn't involve kids. Even if two people, because I saw a lot of again, it was a cult religious thing, but people that lost their spouses would always like pair up after, like you would know. And what I liked about it is because their kids were long out of the house. They had grandkids, but it was just like the couple. It was always saw all these cute old couples who had lost their spouses. Like they fell in love with each other. They just lived their lives. They didn't have to raise kids. And I'm like, oh, I like that. There's no raising of children. So to me, as a young person, the idea of getting married later in life was great because you didn't have to have children by then. So there's that kind of residual thing hanging around in my brain too.
I think the idea of having like a progressive marriage, like the one, like sort of like what Kristen says, like marriage is about the people who are in it and like whatever they want to make out of that. Like I love that. And I've actually met people who have unconventional quote unquote marriages that I love. I'm like, this is so fucking cool. Because I also need my space. I need my space a lot. And I feel that not a lot of people understand that. Like some people think that because I need my space a lot, then I'm sort of like pushing them away, or like I don't love them anymore, or like, but this it's not that. And I always try to explain to these people that I've been in relationships with, I just need to be alone sometimes. I just it's not you, it's just everyone. Like I don't want to be around anyone right now. And so I wish that more people were like open-minded enough to know that like the construction of a marriage doesn't have to follow any specific rules, especially the ones that we have known and done for I don't know how many hundreds and thousands of years. Because I think that would completely redefine the conception, like the word family and what it means. And I would absolutely love that.
And it would just totally drive other people crazy.
And that's a beautiful note to end on. Driving people crazy. What's better than that?
Agreed. Totally agreed.
All right. Well, hope everyone enjoyed this episode. I'm going to stop talking so somebody can do the social media stuff and all the other stuff. And then we'll come back around to me and I'll ask our question.
Can we use that as the promo?
Yeah, of course. Right. So before Lenora goes into the social media, because she's really good at it, I just want to say you can visit our website, childfreegirls.com, or you can send us an email, childfreegirls@gmail.com. We love hearing from all of you. Please send us an email. You can ask questions. You can send us a letter for Dear Childfree Girls. You can send us a story, a poem, a picture, just share whatever you want to share with us.
Depending on what kind of picture.
Yeah, okay, please don't send nudes. We don't want nudes. But pictures of your dogs, for example, is a good thing.
Is it?
Or yes. Or pictures of like the new artwork that you did, or pictures of you doing something that you're really passionate about.
Shoes.
Or shoes. You see, Lenora's passionate about shoes. Send pictures of shoes. We love to hear from all of you. It takes a little bit for us to answer emails, but we do promise that we read them all. And don't forget to subscribe. There's a button down here somewhere. Click on the seal, subscribe to our channel. It helps a lot. And if you haven't yet, you can also review our podcast on iTunes or even Spotify. Yeah. I think you can actually
give us a 5-star now. You can give us 5 stars on Spotify now. And we are all over social media. What? 5,
but not 3.
That's correct.
It has to be 5.
5 stars. Otherwise, our boss questions us a lot, so we would appreciate 5 stars. Lucille's like tough, we have. We need to interview Lucille sometime. We forget about her.
I don't think it's a good idea. She'd be like, I'm just abandoning children all over.
We can do it in a blog post. That might work. Anyway, all right. So we are all over social media. We are at Childfree Girls on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. We are on Amazon, Childfree Girls Comfort Food for Thought, our book there. You can find us on Clubhouse. We run Childfree Club. So just download the audio social app and search Childfree Club, and you will see Childfree Club with our 3 names there. You can join that. And that's actually it for social media. I did the book already, unless that's something else that
I totally missed the Amazon promo.
Okay,
but cool.
Oh, that's what she was doing.
If you do write us a Dear Childfree Girls letter, just make sure, please, that you put Dear Childfree Girls in the subject line, because that will let us know that you intend it to be posted on our blog, which is public, and we'll also be sharing it on social media. So, which is cool, because then people also offer their take on what you should or should not do. Not that it has to be a should I do this or that letter. You can write us anything, such as, for example, what do you think of what this person said? Am I taking it too seriously? And the question for today, I really want to know what you think marriage is. How do you feel about marriage? What do you think it is or should be? I think we're all curious to know that. So you can leave that in the comments below. You can send it to us in an email.
Are we accepting marriage proposals?
No.
Okay.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. Okay.
No.
Back up, just in case.
Only if they're for Lenora.
No, thank you. Justin Trudeau can apply, though, not for me, but for Isabel.
Yes, please.
Yes. So what you think about marriage, whether you would like to marry Isabel, and what you think marriage should be. Those are the things we would like to know. If you ever, I think it's a good idea. If you ever want something, we'll get emails, and sometimes people say things in these emails that we really want to share because we think other people will relate to them or something like that. So if you do email us and you don't want us to share anything in that email, just let us know. And that's it. Hope you enjoyed, and bye.
Don't forget to tune in a couple of weeks for our newest episode.
Bye.
Bye.